Hey, so you know how when you become a parent, people say there's no instruction manual? Well, that's kind of not true because there kind of are at this point. But when it comes to putting content on the internet, there's not really like an instruction manual. And if I actually ever had a following, I would probably quit doing it. So that's where I'm at. Um, I'm only bringing that up because I always have so much happening in my life, and I don't know what's gonna be stuff that I'm gonna regret saying later, and that kind of balance about stuff. But um, I'm not trying to say that my life is more um, worthwhile or anybody else. I'm just trying to say, as white power and Frank, I, you know, am trying to honestly depict my thoughts on things. But I also don't want to fuck other people over. So when I have thoughts on certain things, it's like I don't know how much I should actually say about it or not, you know? But so that being said, just talk about my day a little bit. I had 12 customers today, one of which told me that Willie Nelson died. And dude, confirm those thoughts before you start spreading them, because that really fucking bummed me out. And then I had a very great example of what why I'm scared to be in my 60s. So, because I saying those kinds of things sound so cruel. But then I encounter some of these people, and I'll just explain the situation a little bit better, and then you decide for yourself, okay? But she comes in wearing this like fucking atrocious outfit, like these black grayish worn out looking leggings, socks with like open toed some sort of shoe, and it's like she looks so shitty. But then when she's actually discussing things with me, she talks about all the like restaurants she goes to and wineries, and her son's in the wine industry and all this sort of thing. So it's just like, okay, what are you doing? Are you dressing down to come in, or are you like, what's going on here? And she just so happened to come in during a time where I was finishing a client, and then a scissor sharpening guy came in. And the scissor sharpening guy, apparently he's from Massachusetts, and I've only known a couple people from this area of the United States, and not that well. But I will say that people, in my opinion, from the little experience I have of people from Massachusetts, they seem slightly extra, and I don't mean that bad, because I actually think it's kind of admirable. But they are kind of extra in some way. And so even though this dude was like dressed down, he kind of was extra. He had the, like the normcore, I guess, was what they call it, like Seinfeld looking, or like dressed like a 4-year-old type with a mustache look. And he drove over from Bakersfield, which is where I was raised, and it's more of a city over there. But he's originally from Massachusetts, but no accent from over there. No indication he was from this area, which I noted that, and he told me that he thinks everyone from that area are angry, so I also noted that. But anyway, I have some issues with scissors that I have, so we were kind of discussing that in front of this client who I was going to discuss. I'm just giving you context, layout for my opinion about women in their 60s. Okay, this is context for this situation, because I'm just laying a case here, okay? So I'm having a discussion with him and I'm running a little bit behind, but I have her seated. This is the second time I've done this woman's hair. And both of her friends from that are transplant plants from other wine areas that have come here have warned me about her, who I hadn't even met yet. And she's also a transplant from another wine area, and now her son is in the wine industry here. So both of them have kind of been like, have you done her hair yet? Like, we're just hoping she doesn't ruin anything for us. And I, unfortunately, they aren't, it's just enough to warn me, but they don't, of course, give me any, like, tips on how to handle this situation or anything like that. So, but whatever. At this point in my life, been doing this now for 23 years. I've fucking dealt with everything. So, it does not intimidate me, you know? So this is a woman that I hate, of course, you know, but I just know how to handle it so well now that it's like, it's undetected completely. So, like, the scissor guy is there, and I'm telling him what I'm telling him, and then I kind of do my consultation with her, and then he looks at me and he goes, "You're good." And I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to brag, but I just, you know, it's like I've learned over the years how to just simplify things, and I can do that. And so, to someone who's kind of heard it before, they kind of hear it, but most people don't. So the thing is, and this is just such a perfect example of why I hate people in their 60s, but it really is a lot of women, okay? It is. So she's hearing evidence that I know what I'm doing. And she also knows she's getting a great price and really good service because I'm really nice. And I'm not even boring, so she can even ask me personal questions, and I'm able to work and talk to her at the same time because I've done it so much in my life. So, you know, she knows she can't complain about the service she gets, so she just fucking complains about every other fucking goddamn thing. Like how warm or cold the water is, or how sensitive her hair is, and so I have to be so delicate with her at every fucking thing. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. The extra attention people need. And I don't know if that's just because you don't have enough going on in your life, but this is, I'm afraid of getting older because I don't want to turn into one of these people, which is very prevalent in that generation. All they can communicate are complaints, and if they don't have something to complain about, they can't communicate. They don't know how to interact without complaining, because it's the only way of it's their only mode of communication is complaining and judgment. There's just, I don't know. I mean, there is a group like that out there, and it's a lot of women in their 60s, and it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. So I had one of those today, and it kind of made me think, while dealing with her, which, you know, was fine. There's no problem. My daughter has started working with me in on 2 days a week, and she giggles a lot, and she has friends that come in and kind of shadow at the same time, and they all giggle. They all laugh so much, and it made me think of Mary Poppins. Like, I love everything Mary Poppins. I do. I really love Mary Poppins. I think the whole movie should be dissected. Not the second one. The second one is just like kind of incoherent. But the first one is fucking awesome. And Mary Poppins calls out the little girl in that, like, you giggle too much, pretty much, she tells her. And that is very true of young women. They just feel the need that they have to laugh all the time. And there's just so much wisdom in Mary Poppins. But one of the things at work is I don't like to be left around too much while I'm trying to concentrate. I just don't like it. It's distracting. And anyway, it's a thing, and we all have our quirks. Yeah, so I think that having the young energy around helps with this older energy, because this older energy is just so draining after a while. It's so draining. And it just, sometimes it's just like when I have to suffer through these types of personalities. And I don't know, it's not quite abusive, but it's like I have my own shit going on, Like, why are you this difficult? And that is more women, I'm sorry, that I deal with than men. And the over importance of what women do in the career force and all that stuff, it's just a very deranged generation. And I can't really go into it more than that, but I like I was saying before, I did 12 clients today. It takes a lot out of me. And I do feel like it's almost a source of suffering, a little bit. But I think about all the lessons, like I did a poll earlier today, like existentially, what do I think kind of about things? And it's like, well, there have been times in life where I've absolutely fucking hated God. Like, I was like, sure, I'll go to hell. I don't care. I'd rather go to hell because you are a motherfucker for putting me here in this position. And then when I actually had to take action, I felt completely like God took over or something. And, like, I do feel like I've had a presence around me, even though I've felt a lot of hatred towards that presence, kind of, And I will say, like, probably one of the most divine experiences I ever had was, and I don't know if this is because I had a religious upbringing, I think it probably is. So I'm not trying to say God was speaking to me or anything like that, but I am just trying to say that, like, it was a psychedelic experience almost, being pregnant for the first time, because I could only think about Mary. And if I were pregnant with the savior of mankind, like I was pregnant with a God, like how would I raise that? I mean, that would be such a burden. That would be so much devotion, and I'd have to be a good example and all that stuff. But that was like in my thoughts so much. And then when I read Dr. Sears' book about attachment parenting, it just kind of like confirmed my thoughts about how much I was thinking about Mary. And I think probably I did think about Mary a lot because I studied the Bible growing up. But in a lot of ways, I just think that she's a very, to me, impactful character. Because imagine being impregnated and trying to convince everyone that, you were still a virgin. You still had purity, but you had this gift to the world to cure people of their sins. And for me, as a mother, it just made me feel like my role was so important. And it was like a really, even though it was like such a huge burden feeling, I feel like, I don't know, it was very divine to me. That felt divine to me. That felt like I had a purpose and there was order in the world, and I felt Mary is being very comforting to me, and then years later, I had this client who just randomly told me, if God ever chose someone to carry Christ, I feel like it would be you. I don't know why the fuck she told me that. But that's a fucking weird thing to hear from somebody. Especially because I had thought about Mary through my entire first pregnancy. Like, who does that, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. I've just always felt like when I really, 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 really needed God, God was right there with me. And so sometimes the suffering I feel just by the day in and day out of just talking to these people, it's bearable for me because I feel like when I really need God, God has been there. So all this stuff is just stuff I can endure. Even though it's really hard because people be annoying. Yeah, but back to Mary Poppins. I think Mary Poppins, that original movie, should just be completely dissected because all of it is awesome and cool. All of it is really, really good. Yeah, and baby boomer females are retarded. Yeah, just like the NRA people. And I think most NRA people are probably boomers. Probably. And I think we gotta go Catholic. So I'm gonna try to figure out how to go Catholic at this point. I keep considering it more and more all the time. Like, I think it's the way to go. I just do. Have a good night, y'all.